While the Game Boy Advance may not have been as ambitious as its great-granddaddy, the original Game Boy, it dominated the handheld market of its generation. Nintendo has always had a knack for making handheld consoles, with no other handheld platform even coming close to the number of sales for the Game Boy, GBA, or Nintendo DS, besides of course the PSP, but that was like all of Nintendo's real handheld competition. Even now, no other offering from any other company even comes close, and there's a good reason for that. Nintendo really knows what they're doing when it comes to handhelds. But before I get into that, let's do a quick physical overview and go through the history of the device. The particular model I have with me is the first gen GBA. It's almost 6 inches long, a little over 3 inches in height, and about 1 inch thick. It's a little bulky compared to a modern smartphone or handheld, but that should be obvious. However, for being a little on the thicker side, it thankfully doesn't have too much heft. On the front is a 2.9 inch LCD screen. To the left of that is a single D-pad and start and select buttons. On the right hand side are the A and B buttons and a single front facing speaker that can actually get decently loud, a feature not even a lot of phones have today, so that's really awesome to see. On the top of the device we have the left and right triggers and a port to connect your GameCube to GBA link cable, a really cool feature I'll talk about a bit later. On the bottom of the device is an on and off switch, a 3.5mm jack for connecting headphones, and a volume rocker. On the back is where you can find where to stuff the 2 AA batteries needed to power the thing, and of course the cartridge slot. The Game Boy Advance was released in 2001, with Japan getting it in March and the rest of the world getting it in June besides China. They had to wait another 3 years, which really sucks. The Advance was sold as the successor to the Game Boy Color, and for the US version had 16 launch titles. As of now though, there are over 1,000 games that can be played on the Game Boy Advance. The GBA was received fairly well, but one major problem with it was the very dark screen, but that problem was fixed with the release of the Advance SP. There were some really cool add-ons made for the Game Boy Advance, such as the aforementioned GameCube to GBA link cable. If you connected this cord to your Game Boy Advance and GameCube, you could use your GBA as an extra controller, with the screen displaying additional info for the game you're playing. It reminds me a little bit of the gamepad for the Wii U, however one distinct difference between a Wii U gamepad and the Game Boy Advance is that you actually can't play the game solely on your GBA. However, this fusion of handheld and console gaming that started with the GameCube and Game Boy Advance has definitely evolved from that point and, I would think it's safe to say, probably influenced the technology of the Wii U. Another cool add-on is the link cable and the wireless adapter that later replaced it, which allowed for many people to play GBA games together. By far the best-selling franchise on the Game Boy Advance was Pokemon. The 5 most best-selling GBA games of all time were Pokemon games, number 1 and 2 being Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, which together sold over 16 million copies. More people bought Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire than people bought Wii U's. The most popular non-Pokemon game for the Game Boy Advance was Mario Kart Super Circuit, a game I can say was definitely a memorable part of my childhood. Many other exclusive GBA titles belonging to franchises like Super Mario, Kingdom Hearts, Sonic, Donkey Kong, Metroid, and The Legend of Zelda helped solidify the Game Boy Advance as a best-selling handheld. In fact, it was such a hot-selling handheld that support didn't officially end in North America until 2008, just a few short years before the release of Nintendo's current flagship handheld, the 3DS. The Game Boy Advance was my first handheld, and unless you count my short time with the Nintendo DS, my only one. The device has really left its print on me. Some of my favorite moments from when I was younger were just me playing some Super Mario or Pokemon. The legacy of the Game Boy Advance is one that is pretty positive, with it having stood the test of time as a really awesome handheld. So good, I'd say it'd be worth picking up one even today.